Unit 7 Test, Track 103. Jodie Cobb specialises in large-scale global stories, exploring such topics as 21st century slavery, as well as more intimate stories set inside closed and secret worlds. A former staff photographer for National Geographic, her assignments have taken her to places in Europe and North America, but primarily to countries in the Middle East and Asia. As part of our Photographers Now series, I am talking to Andy Bragg, an admirer of Cobb's work. Welcome to the program, Andy.
Hi.
So, tell us what you know about Jodie Cobb's career and photography.
Well, Jodie worked as a staff photographer for National Geographic for more than 30 years and is currently doing freelance with them. What's remarkable about Jodie's photo stories is the amount of research behind each of them. From start to finish, a project can last a very long time before it's complete. Her story on 21st century slaves, for example, was massive. She spent time following all forms of trafficking in 10 different countries, and it all ended up on a spread covering 28 pages in the magazine. It received the biggest reader response in the history of the magazine until that time. Jodie was breaking new ground with a story that had hardly been written about or researched before.
Jodie has a reputation for using her photos to tell stories. How did she break into this field of work?
Choices were much fewer when Jodie was starting out. Fine art photography back then didn't exist as a concept. It wasn't appreciated as much as it is now. Only a few magazines existed for this line of photography. Life, Look, and National Geographic. Basically, it was difficult to make a living unless you worked for these big players. After college, Jodie exhibited her work in New York and was offered assignments by National Geographic soon after.
And the industry has changed now?
Oh, completely. It has changed so much and so fast over the years. There are just so many venues and opportunities now for photographers. But you have to move away from the printed medium to find them. You see newspapers dropping like flies, magazines folding or getting rid of their staff photographers. The work is out there, but it's online.
And how would you describe the themes of Jodie Cobb's work?
She's very interested in the conditions of women around the world and in helping to empower women in countries where they're not empowered. National Geographic has always been a great medium to do that because of its reach. Currently, they also publish 32 language editions, so the reach is all over the world, much more than it used to be. That's why Jodie is keen to continue working for them on a freelance basis.
Men still outnumber women hugely in the photography business. Being a woman, was it a struggle for Jodie to be taken seriously as a photographer when she was starting out?
When Jodie got into the business, women in all sorts of fields and professions were finding themselves as the only women or the first women in the business. She was always the only woman on staff. She felt that sometimes she was asked to do things by her employers simply because she was a woman. They didn't want to be seen as only interested in having male photographers. In contrast, she had nothing but support from colleagues. Other photographers were always keen to share information and camaraderie and to keep her in the loop about work and new developments.
I guess that must have been of great help to her.
Oh, absolutely. When you're the only woman, you need to feel accepted, especially by those doing the same job, and she has always felt that. In the field, however, Jodie was not always taken seriously early on, especially in very male-dominated cultures. For example, she once requested permission to photograph a king, and the reaction was, "Where's your photographer?" It was a struggle for her quite often.
And a struggle she has now overcome. Check out Jodie's work online. She is one of the most remarkable photojournalists of our time. Thanks for talking to me, Andy.